Just back from my day one ride. Thought I'd show you the villa we've got. Nice little place. Front door. The grates make it look like prison, but it isn't. Living room. Bedrooms I won't bother going into. But the outdoor area. And this is the bike I've got. It's Cannondale Super 6. I got no idea why it comes with 25s in Gran Canaria, but it does. I don't know what cassettes on the back. And most importantly, it's so cold. Hello again. This is some more footage of my Gran Canaria trip in February. I'm aware that it's very late to be releasing footage from February, but since I've got a broken leg at the moment, there's not much else for me to be doing. So I'm going to try and show you a few more of the rides I've did in Gran Canaria. From anyone who's been to Gran Canaria, you'll be going, yeah, this is all the standard stuff. There's nothing groundbreaking here. But if you've not been, hopefully this will be a decent demo of what's on offer. So I've done 2 videos already. One of my day one ride, just of Ayaguares, the local climb, and one of a sort of back road climb that I did another day. This is our second day in Gran Canaria, and I'd say that this is 2 of the iconic climbs that people know really well, Soria and Serenity. And I did essentially the simplest loop you can do from Maspalomas, and this is the Soria climb there on the Relive video. So you'll see me about to go up Soria here. This is where it starts. Basically, to get here, you just go down the coast road from Maspalomas, which is where most people stay, and then there's a point where you hang a right turn and you go straight inland. Now, Gran Canaria is basically just one big volcano, so you either go around the outside of it on the coast, or you cut up one of the valleys that go into it, and you gradually go uphill until you hit mountains and you have to go really steep. I've already failed by not telling you the stats when that screen's well gone on this video. Soria is 5.6 kilometres at 8.1%. So yeah, 5.5 kilometres, 8%. It's a proper climb. It's a good climb. It's never too steep. The road surface is nice on this bit of climb, and it's really steady. So I'll show you lots of footage of switchbacks and stunning valley scenery, and look at that sun shining. It's hard to believe that this was February. It was like a steady 20-ish degrees, so I was just really comfortable in t-shirt and shorts, never too hot, just absolutely fabulous. And I'm not sure at the time that I adequately appreciated it, but now I've been cooped up, lying on my back with my leg in the air for 5 straight weeks, looking at this. It's just, it just looks like paradise, really. So yeah, you get inland sufficiently, and you hit a point where you have to approach some mountains. The valleys don't go on forever, and these roads, the 2 that I'm going to show you today, are really just carved out in a practical manner to get over a cliff face, which leads to these stunning views. And on the switchbacks where you end up going north to south, you can see all the way out to sea again. This dude was just running up. And something that struck me in Gran Canaria actually was you find runners in places where you think, how on earth did you get here? You must have run so far already. There are some villages and holiday lets in the valley below this, but even so, to get this far up the climb running is mental to me, absolutely mental. There's these nice stacked rock formations and stuff. It's hard to know what's natural and what's not in Gran Canaria, but it's not like Mallorca as much, where there's lots of stuff done for tourist reasons. I don't get that impression. Though maybe that one is. So I did this ride with my mum and dad. They both had e-bikes hired, which means that on the flats we were all just riding together at a happy pace. On the climbs, it's hard because they can go 25 kph, and it's hard to know. Well, they can go 25 kph, but they're saving their battery because this is going to be an over 100 kilometre day. So we basically still just do our own pace on the climbs. So at the moment I am ahead of them. I was expecting them to catch me at some point. And I wasn't going full gas, but on this holiday I did decide I was just going for all the hills. I was, setting a decent pace, but without feeling 100%, because I knew I had a long day and a long week ahead of me. As you can see, it's really quiet here. There were a few cyclists, there were a few cars. We did set off pretty early. I mean, by that, I think we got out at 8 AM or something, so we're probably here at 8:45 or 9. It's not that far from Maspalomas. But it is really quiet. I was surprised by how quiet it is. And that lovely morning sun, it helped, because in the valley you were in the shade still, so it was never too hot. Because it does get hot here, even in February. At 1 or 2 PM, it's really hot. This guy ahead of us, thank you. He absolutely rescued our day yesterday, because my dad left his phone on a wall at the side of the road. Here you go, I did 314 watts up Soria. I did a decent effort. In Gran Canaria, a decent effort gets you 2000th place or something, because so many people come and cycle here. Yeah, my dad lost his phone, but we've been chatting to that guy, and he knew where my dad hired his bike from, so he picked up his phone, took it to where my dad hired his bike, and they phoned my dad to tell him that they had it. Incredible, like, such kindness. And the top of Soria is almost the top of Serenity, so you get to do 2 climbs in one, if you like. I'm next to some bins. Beautiful. I'm at the bottom of Serenity. I'm about to do the climb. I left my parents at the top. We came up Soria, and over that way they've gone straight to a cafe. I've come down to go straight back up the hill, and I'll see them there. It's been dead silent until I got my phone out. I've been here about 10 minutes. Not a single car until right now. So from the top of Soria, you actually have to keep going up, and it was the worst road I've ever cycled. I mean, like, the tarmac was fully broken up into having gravel pits in the middle of it and stuff. But I came back a few days later and they'd fixed that, and the surface was actually way better. You then have to turn left to go all the way down Serenity in order to go back up it, if you do it the way I have. There used to be another way to the bottom of Serenity around the coast road, but that has slipped in a landslide, and the road's completely closed. People used to carry their bikes around it for ages, and now you can't even do that. You can get a ferry around, or some cyclists are doing one junction of the motorway and risking a €40 fine in order to do it. I was not willing to do that. I'd much rather climb up Soria and go down Serenity to go back up it than go around the coast and risk a fine to go up Serenity. So that's a bit of a shame. The boat option is always there, of course, but that's why I've done this in such a funny way. Serenity is often touted as the most beautiful climb in Gran Canaria, and I can 100% see why. Obviously, when we talk about beautiful, Gran Canaria has a very unique sort of geology, being a volcanic island, mountain island in the middle of the ocean. So it will be this kind of arid volcanic rock formations, but the road itself is just absolutely magnificent. As you get a little bit higher on these switchbacks, you can see down the corresponding valley to the town of Morgan, and then down to Port Morgan, which is where the ferry would have come, or the coast road would have taken you before that landslide. The climb is 8.5 kilometres long at 6.5%, and the gradient is pretty steady actually. It sometimes gets above 10%, but it's never absurdly steep. And these switchbacks, there's just so many switchbacks, and again, I sound like a knob, but it's got this real feeling of authenticity about it. It's literally just a way to get from Morgan up to the villages higher in the mountains. So you cut through, I guess, different sorts of landscapes. At the bottom, it's this kind of rocky scrub. I checked this guy was okay, by the way. Definitely fine. I saw him on the way down and the way back up, and they insisted they had everything they needed. So yeah, at the bottom, it's like scrub. It's pretty green actually. It's more green than this looks, but it's very rocky. You do loads of these switchbacks carved out through the rock, which is really cool. And a little bit further up, you'll see on my mini-map, there's a proper segment that's like the switchback section that's a bit more forested, which is nice when we get there. Once again, I was trying not to kill myself whilst also giving this a good effort. Part of the reason we're in Gran Canaria is because I wanted to build fitness for the coming season. And actually, the way my 2024 went, I think I did exactly that, until I broke my leg. So as you can see, this is the slightly more wooded bit. It's quite nice. It was getting hotter at this point, so I was pretty relieved. And there are a few more cyclists out. I guess a lot of people had got the ferry or had hopped the motorway. Something that always makes me laugh when you do these is, in the UK, I don't find many cyclists that want to hop your wheel when you're going uphill. But on the continent, it always seems to happen. Like, people take you passing them as an invitation to a race, and they try and sit on for as long as they can. So I just always have in my head that never kick too hard to pass someone. I always pass them slower than I can go, because when they try and sit on my wheel, I like to, up the speed a little bit more, just to make sure they don't stay on too long. This bit freaked me out a little bit. Can you see to my left that it's just a straight drop? There's absolutely no Armco or crash barrier at all. When I passed this lady, I had to apologise because I absolutely fucked her over by taking the outside line while there was a car and forcing her onto the really steep inside of the switchback. It was a dick move. I just wasn't thinking. So yeah, I was that annoying cyclist at that point who did something pretty selfish. If I could turn my camera 90 degrees to the left, I would show you why I had vertigo coming up here. This is where I had to admit that I was terrified of heights, but it's amazing. I wouldn't let that stop me riding Serenity again, not in the slightest. As we get further up, I was just struck by the absolute majesty of this climb. And I'm not trying to be dismissive of Mallorca. Mallorca's amazing, but I would say this climb is what Sacalobra was trying to be, because this is authentically the way it is, whereas Sacalobra was like, oh, let's think about what makes a cool road up a mountain, almost like tourist fan service, whereas Serenity is just, it is what it is. That means there are times when it's quite boring, because it's just falls flat of this is where I can build a road, so I will. But there's so much incredible variety along it. And after you finish that multiple switchback section, lots of it now is almost just balcony road, which is cool. Lots more cyclists, as you can see, as I've said. There's like guided tours out here, because there's a lot of bike hire shops in Gran Canaria that do guided tours of these climbs, and this is an incredibly iconic one. Again, as you can see to the left, we're balcony road style now, where you can see all the way down, out to Gran and out to the sea. It's a magnificent view. It's not too busy, is it? You know, I've seen a lot more people here than in any other video I've shown so far, but it's really not especially busy, which is fantastic. One of the beautiful things about Gran Canaria is different parts of the island have quite different geographical natural features. So the sort of sparsely treed hills you can see around me here, it's not like that on the other side of the island at all, and I don't know anything about why that is, but it's kind of cool that it's such a small place. You know, you can cycle most parts of the island from one base. Jeez, did you see that suicidal cyclist coming right across? I was far more scared of other cyclists than I was of cars here, which is credit to the Spanish drivers, and also, you know, a bit of a discredit to fellow cyclists. It's a bit like how cyclists ruin Mallorca in a lot of people's opinions. So yeah, it's cool in Gran Canaria that stuff can be so varied in such a relatively tight space. This climb was fantastic. I know I've said my favourite was the sort of hidden road that I did out of Maspalomas. This, by the way, is where it meets for going back to Soria, or going left. Now, some people argue that Serenity ends here, this is the top of the climb, but actually you keep going uphill, so I kept doing my effort all the way up to the juice bar at the top. I've got it on good authority that this is Piglet's favourite climb in Gran Canaria. I say on good authority, he said that to me, so I think I've represented you correctly there, mate. If not, please correct me. This final bit is a bit boring. You're just pushing all the way to the top, to the car park and stuff, but for completionism, I kept the power on a decent amount. I did an okay effort, 314 watts average. Have I put the same analysis? Anyway, this one, yeah, 560th or something. I was pretty happy with my effort. And next thing I had to do was just a sort of road around the plateau that takes you over to Ayacata. From Maspalomas, I will show you, there's basically a road that goes straight up all the way to the top of the island, up the volcano. And that's where I'm going to go back down. Ayacata is, I guess, like 5/6 of the way up there, but it's the top of the main road. So there's 2 cafes, and for a lot of people, Maspalomas to Ayacata will be their ride for the day, and back down again. And I totally see why. In this loop, it was an obvious place for me and my parents to regroup, get a coffee, and ride down the 25-kilometre descent or whatever it is together. Riding around this sort of ridgeline road, this plateau road, was phenomenal. Just look at the jaw-dropping scenery. It's a crazy place. The sheer scale of all of this, I can't capture. I can't explain how small you feel when you're riding it, but it's beautiful. I've picked a lot of the nice tarmac only because there's some shit tarmac in Gran Canaria, and the motion stabilization on my cameras couldn't handle it, and I didn't want to make you all vomit watching this video. So please be aware, there's lots of very bad tarmac. I didn't mind it, it didn't ruin the holiday for me, but you'll see a little bit of it as we descend here. Just how bad some of the roads are. Here we go, a little taste of it already. These are the 2 cafes at Ayacata, and if you want, you can keep going up, sort of on a back road behind me. Here's my parents on the left, and this is the full day that we did, 105 kilometres, 2,400 metres of elevation. And from this cafe, it's essentially all downhill. There's some little incidental kicks, but basically, you go downhill all the way home. All the way back to Maspalomas at sea level, which is pretty cool. It's a lovely descent, so yeah, that's 2 of the most famous climbs in Gran Canaria. I will show you a little bit of the descending footage now, and I will make at least one other video of Valley of Tears. Maybe I'll do some couple of ways up to the volcano as well, if I have time with my broken leg. My mum at first was not very happy about these descents, but once we accepted that you just go nice and slow, she was absolutely fine. The tarmac and the switchbacks and stuff do make it a little bit hairy. Even I found that, I'm not a very good descender, so I lost grip a couple of times, and whilst I passed plenty of cyclists going up the hills, almost everyone passed me going down, and that's fine by me. This is the beautiful village of San Bartolome, which again is, I guess, 3/4 of the way up, maybe halfway up the volcano. Some lovely cafes and stuff there, so it's a great place to stop off if you don't want to do the absurd climb in one go. You can see the village behind, and this is one of those incidental little climbs on the descent. But yeah, beautiful place. I loved this route. I would do it again exactly as it was, and I would go very slowly down these descents. So here's some switchbacks for you. Truth be told, having just fallen off my bike and had a harrowing 5 weeks of broken leg, I'm not enjoying watching myself descend relatively quick, even though it's absolutely fine, never in danger. I've got a little bit of trauma thinking about the risk of falling off my bike, even though I know I didn't here. And just towards the end, if anyone's interested in my progress, I have 3 more weeks of no weight bearing whatsoever. I'm in a boot now, so I'm sleeping a bit better, I'm a bit less miserable. I'm allowed to take the boot off, scratch, and vaguely flex my ankle, but I can't put any pressure through it. My leg is absolutely full of metal, and it's going to stay that way. But once I can put weight on it again, hopefully I'll start to loosen it up and get back on the bike. I'm not expecting to be doing anything impressive until 2025 at this point, but such is life, hey. It's been fun reliving Gran Canaria. I hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, keep your eyes peeled for some other footage coming out if you're interested.